I transmigrated into the ultimate villain in a Mary Sue novel. On the day of my wedding to the female lead, Lung Rushuang, the male lead descended from the sky. Rushuang, you can't marry him. He's just an ordinary emperor. He can't give you happiness. Without hesitation, Lung Rushuang turned and threw herself into the male lead, Xiao Su's arms. Xiao Gij is right. You can't give me happiness. I don't want to marry you. I was cautious by nature and carefully asked, may I know, what is your cultivation level and what is your family's power? Xiao Su's face flushed red. Although I'm only at Qi refining level 3 now, 30 years east of the river, 30 years west. Give me 30 years, and I'll definitely surpass you. I was filled with admiration. Then a palm descended from the sky. But you only have 3 seconds left. Mo Yuan, get down here. As long as I'm here today, I won't let Rushuang marry you. A cracking roar shattered the celestial music of the wedding feast. I looked up and saw a young man in a moon-white brocade robe rushing in, carrying a rusty iron sword. He was furious, looking at me without fear, as if he had a deep hatred for me. I didn't blindly respond, but scanned him with my divine sense. Qi refining level 3? My brow furrowed slightly. I didn't fear enemies who were too strong, but enemies who were too weak. Qi refining level 3, provoking a tribulation stage emperor. Even a trace of my pressure could kill him 1,000 times over. This kid must have a powerful backer. Before I could make sense of this absurd situation, Lung Rushuang had already rushed out, dragging the train of her phoenix coronet and wedding gown. She was supposed to be today's empress, the beads clinking as she moved, but she didn't even give me a glance. Like a bird eager to escape its cage, she rushed straight into Xiao Su's arms, her fingers clutching Xiao Su's sleeve tightly, as if I were some man-eating monster. Xiao Gij, you're finally here. The look she gave Xiao Su was soft enough to drip water, but when she turned back to me, it instantly turned to ice. Mo Yuan, did you really think I'd marry you? An ordinary emperor who's been guarding his lair for 300 years, worthy of the Qingxian sect's holy maiden? Xiao Gij is the chosen one. Even if he's only at the Qi refining stage now, he'll be able to flatten the cultivation world in the future. You're not even worthy of carrying his shoes. As she spoke, she took out a brocade box from her bosom. Inside was a jade pendant radiating spiritual energy. It was a protective jade pendant I had carved for her last year on her birthday, using millennium-old spirit jade from the Xian Yuan domain. Now, she threw it on the ground and stomped on it hard with her embroidered shoe. Did you think you could buy me off with a piece of broken jade? A piece of ordinary iron Xiao Gij gave me yesterday is more precious than your broken jade. And you don't understand what true love is. Gasps of cold air could be heard from the surrounding guests. The Black Armor Guard commander's hand rested on the war blade at his waist, the gilded hilt turning white from being gripped so tightly. Everyone knew how much spiritual energy I'd spent on that jade pendant. Lung Rushuang had worn it every day, but now she was trampling it in front of the entire hall, rubbing my face in the dirt. Xiao Su became even more arrogant from Lung Rushuang's praise. He raised his hand and put it around Lung Rushuang's waist, deliberately raising his voice. Montak Yuan, did you hear that? Rushuang doesn't even want your broken spirit jade. Your spirit veins in the Xian Yuan domain, your tribulation stage cultivation, are garbage in my eyes. Why get your golden core and break through to the foundation establishment stage? The first thing I'll do is flatten your Xian Yuan palace and make you serve me in Rushuang tea and water. As he spoke, he pulled out a wooden token from his bosom, with the Qingxian sect's cloud patterns carved on it. See this? This is the token Master Ling Su Zi gave me. He said, if you dare lay a finger on me, he'll cripple your cultivation and throw you into the mines as a slave. You, this emperor, are just a pawn in Master's hands, and now the pawn should move aside. The spiritual energy in my fingertips suddenly tightened, and black, silent power revolved around my knuckles, dimming even the Soul Crystal Palace lamps on the hall ceiling. My temples throbbed with pain and the original owner's memories flooded my brain like a dam bursting. The original owner, Mo Yuan, was taken back to the Qingxian sect to be raised by the wandering Ling Suzi when he was 5 years old. His talent was shockingly outstanding. He broke through to the Transformation God stage at 20 and advanced to the Tribulation stage at 30, becoming the youngest emperor in the cultivation world. He fell in love with Lung Rushuang at first sight. To marry her, he not only tripled the Qingxian sect's offerings, but also designated a medium-sized spirit vein mine in the domain to the Qingxian sect. He also respected Master Ling Suzi as a father. Even though he was already an emperor, he still asked for advice on everything. He even personally copied a copy of the Xian Yuan domain's core inheritance technique, the Primordial Chaos Sutra, and presented it to his master. But only after his death did he realize that all of this was a conspiracy against him. Back then, when Xiao Su came to snatch the bride, Lung Rushuang threatened to die, and the original owner was forced to extend the wedding date by 30 years. Moreover, during these 30 years, Lung Rushuang often stole the original owner's resources for Xiao Su, which actually allowed Xiao Su to reach the tribulation stage. Even during the final showdown, she secretly tampered with the original owner, causing the original owner, who had been the lead, to be ambushed and killed by Xiao Su. It wasn't until the master came out and called Xiao Su disciple that the original owner realized he was Xiao Su's whetstone in their plan. Using his blood to achieve Xiao Su's supreme fame, he finally woke up and sacrificed his emperor's soul to the heavens, only to wish for these 3 people to die without a burial place. I watched my fiancée, whom I cherished as a treasure, desecrate the token I gave her in front of the entire hall. I watched Xiao Su, clamoring to flatten my Xianyuan palace. I thought of my master, whom I once revered as a god, giving Xiao Su a token to cripple me. I suddenly laughed. No one dares to disturb. I remembered what Ling Suzi had said the day before the wedding. The pressure of the tribulation stage unconsciously spread out, causing Xiao Su and Lung Rushuang to kneel instantly. They stubbornly looked up and cursed. Montak Yuan, how dare you use pressure on me? Master won't let you get away with this. Let me get away with this. Just as I was about to raise my hand, an old cough suddenly came from outside the hall, carrying the spiritual power fluctuations of the peak of the Transformation God stage. Yuan, stop. Ling Suzi floated in midair, the cloud patterns on his gray Taoist robe tinged with immortality. He lightly swept his whisk, but couldn't even disperse 1/10 of the pressure around me. He landed on the red carpet, walked straight to Xiao Su, bent down to help Xiao Su up, and even patted the dust off Xiao Su's knees. That gesture was so gentle. It was a treatment that the original owner, who had called him master for 300 years, had never received. Yuan, Xiao Su is a natural Dao body, endowed with the luck of the dragon and phoenix. He is the heaven's chosen master of the cultivation world. Rushuang following him is in accordance with the will of heaven. You should not stop her. Ling Shuzi opened his mouth, his tone like coaxing a child who didn't understand. Comply with the will of heaven? I stared into his eyes and suddenly laughed. So Esselun is here to help him snatch my empress and seize my profound abyss domain. It's not seizing, it's fulfilling. Ling Shuzi took out a silk book from his sleeve. The handwriting on it was all too familiar to me. This was the core chapter of the Primal Chaos Sutra, but now he handed it to Xiao Su. Yuan, although you are the great emperor, you lack a bit of luck. I have already explained most of this Primal Chaos Sutra to Xiao Su, and with your golden core, he will surpass you in less than 10 years. You should proactively give up the throne of great emperor, cripple your cultivation, and still earn a reputation for knowing the times. Isn't that great? He paused, his eyes suddenly becoming sinister. If you don't agree, it doesn't matter. Several elders of the profound abyss domain have already surrendered to me. If you dare to make a move, they will let the people of the Azure Profound sect into the profound abyss hall. You don't want to watch the territory you've guarded for 300 years be destroyed in your hands, do you? His words were like thunder exploding in my ears. Even the elders of the profound Abyss domain had been bought off by him. The profound Abyss domain, which the original owner regarded as the foundation, had already been hollowed out by him. Xiao Su, holding the Primal Chaos Sutra, smiled more and more triumphantly. Montak Yuan, did you hear that? Your people are all with SH Zen. You, great emperor, are just a lonely person. If you know what's good for you, quickly cripple your cultivation and give me your golden core, or when SN and the elders take action, you won't even have a good death. Lung Rushuang echoed, her voice filled with impatience. Mo Yuan, you should fulfill Xiao Gij. You've already reached your limit. Living is just a waste of resources. If you dare to resist, I will work with Xiao Gij to smash all your spiritual veins and minds, so you won't even have a place to settle down. Ling Shuzi was still persuading by the side. Yuaner, don't be ungrateful. If you're obedient, I can let you go to the Azure Profound sect to watch a vegetable garden, ensuring you have food and clothing. If you resist. He raised his hand and pressed it on Xiao Su's shoulder, the spiritual power of the transformation god stage vaguely spreading. I can only cripple you, and then let Xiao Su personally send you off. After all, a new master ascending the throne always needs an old master to offer as a sacrifice. I looked at Ling Shuzi at the Primal Chaos Sutra in his hand, looking at Xiao Su at the Azure Profound sect wooden token in his hand, looking at Lung Rushuang at her embroidered shoes stepping on the jade pendant. The original owner's 300 years of respect, 5 years of infatuation. In the end, the result was to be sacrificed, to be granted the privilege of guarding the vegetable garden. SH Zun is right. I slowly opened my mouth, and the annihilation power in my palm surged, causing the entire Lingxiao immortal palace to tremble, and the red silk on the palace pillars was twisted into shredded cloth by the spiritual power. It is indeed time for someone to accept their fate, but it's not me. Ling Shuzi's expression changed drastically. Yuaner, how dare you? I'm the great emperor of the profound Abyss domain, the #1 person in the world. What I not dare to do? My figure suddenly disappeared, and when I reappeared, I was already in front of Ling Shuzi. The Tribulation Transcendence stage magic power carried a world-destroying aura and directly struck his chest. Ling Shuzi didn't react at all. He never thought that the disciple he had raised would dare to kill his Sishin. Even more unexpectedly, his peak transformation god stage cultivation was so vulnerable in front of the Tribulation Transcendence stage. In a hurried moment, he raised his hand to resist, but the transformation god stage's spiritual power was torn to shreds like paper in an instant. Fresh blood splattered on my black imperial robe, meandering along the dragon pattern ravines like burning blood fire. Ling Shuzi's eyes widened, his turbid eyeballs filled with disbelief, his lips trembling, but he couldn't even utter a complete sentence. You really dare? Kill SH Zun? I ignored him, turning my head to look at Xiao Su and Lung Rushuang, who were so frightened that they collapsed on the ground. The Primal Chaos Sutra in Xiao Su's hand fell to the ground, and Lung Rushuang also forgot to step on the jade pendant. Both of them were trembling, and even breathing was difficult. Now it's time to settle our accounts. Ling Shuzi's body softly fell to the ground, and the golden core of the peak transformation god stage rolled out of his dantian, emitting a faint light. I raised my hand and crushed that golden core. The golden spiritual power scattered in the air and was instantly devoured by the annihilation power in my palm. This golden core also contained the soul-nourishing grass that the original owner gave to Ling Shuzi last year. It was a treasure cultivated by the original owner with great emperor spiritual power, but now it has become his capital for scheming against the original owner. SH Zun. Xiao Su was so frightened that he scrambled and crawled, trying to hide behind Lung Rushuang. But Lung Rushuang pushed him away, and he fell to the ground, his mouth full of mud. Lung Rushuang herself couldn't care about appearances. She got up and tried to run out of the hall, but was kicked to the ground by the Black Armor Guard commander. "Want to run?" The commander's voice was cold. "The great emperor hasn't spoken. Who allowed you to move?" Lung Rushuang lay on the ground, turned her head to look at me, and tears suddenly fell down her face. She crawled and scrambled to my feet, hugging my trouser legs. "Mo Yuan, I was wrong. I was deceived by Ling Shuzi. He said you would harm me. That's why I left with Xiao So. I didn't mean to step on that jade pendant. Xiao So forced me to. Please spare me. I still want to be your empress." "Empress?" I walked to her and stepped on the back of her hand. The sound of bones breaking was crisp and ear-piercing. Lung Rushuang let out a shrill scream, tears mixed with blood flowing all over the ground. "You said just now that you would smash my spiritual veins and minds with Xiao So?" She trembled all over in pain, but didn't forget to quibble. "I was talking nonsense. Mo Yuan, I truly love you. My relationship with Xiao So was just acting. I only have you in my heart. Look, I'll throw his jade pendant away right now." She reached out to grab the jade pendant at Xiao Su's waist, but Xiao Su pushed her away. "Stop pretending. Who was it that just said they wanted to be sacrificed with me? Mo Yuan, don't believe her. She's just an opportunist. You're the useless one." Lung Rushuang also became anxious, scrambling up and starting to fight with Xiao Su. "If you hadn't said that master would help us, why would I have gone crazy with you? Now that master is dead. You're just a chi refining realm waste, and you still want me to die with you." The two wrestled on the ground, their hair disheveled, their clothes torn, with not even a trace of the Chosen One and Holy Maiden remaining. I watched them, feeling only immense irony. Just then, a flurry of footsteps came from outside the hall. The three elders of Xian Yuan domain rushed in, followed by a dozen Qingxian sect cultivators. They saw Ling Shuzi on the ground, their expressions changing drastically, but they still stubbornly shouted, "Mo Yuan, you've committed the heinous crime of patricide and betraying your sect. Quickly release Xiao Su and Holy Maiden Lung and go to Qingxian sect to answer for your crimes." These three elders were personally promoted by the original owner, who had even entrusted them with managing the Xian Yuan domain's mines. Now, they had become Ling Shuzi's lackeys. I looked at them, the pressure of the Tribulation Transcension stage surging once more, causing the roof tiles to fall. "Patricide and betraying the sect? I think it's you who are colluding with the enemy and betraying the country, isn't it?" I raised my hand and sent a surge of spiritual power into the lead elder's dantian. He let out a miserable scream, his nascent soul stage golden core instantly shattering, and he collapsed to the ground. You really dare to attack us? No, you can't kill us. Xian Yuan domain can't be without us. Without you, Xian Yuan domain will only be better. I looked at the remaining two elders, my tone icy cold. Ling Shuzi plotted against me, and you helped him. Today, your entire sect will pay the price. Depose the Dantians of all the traitors, and transfer all the spirit veins and resources of Qingxian sect to Xian Yuan domain. As for Xiao Su and Lung Rushuang, I turned to look at the two still fighting, a mocking smile curling on my lips. I won't let them die too easily. I had people throw Xiao Su into the 10,000 serpent pit of Xian Yuan domain. The 10,000 serpent pit housed tens of thousands of venomous pythons, each with the strength of the golden core stage, and they loved to devour the flesh and souls of cultivators. When Xiao Su was thrown in, he was still roaring, saying that he was the chosen one and that I would be punished by heaven. But when the first venomous python wrapped around his leg and its fangs pierced his skin, his roar turned into a scream. I stood at the top of the pit, watching Xiao Su being tightly wrapped by the pythons, venom flowing into his body through the wounds, causing him to convulse all over. His dantian had long been destroyed by me, and he couldn't use even a trace of spiritual power. He could only struggle painfully under the python's bites like an ordinary person. Several pythons even deliberately tore at his clothes, revealing the heart protection talisman that Ling Shuzi had given him. The talisman melted upon contact with blood and couldn't block the python's fangs at all. Montak Yuan, you beast. I won't let you go even as a ghost. Xiao Su's voice was hoarse, but it lacked the arrogance of before, leaving only despair. He tried to grab a stone beside him, but a python bit off his finger in one bite, and blood splattered on the scales, attracting more pythons to surround him. I ignored him and turned to leave. Become a ghost? He didn't even have the qualifications to be a ghost. The venomous pythons in the 10,000 serpent pit not only devoured flesh, but also devoured souls. After Xiao Su died, even his soul would be digested by the pythons, leaving him with no chance of reincarnation. This was the consequence of being my enemy. As for Lung Rushuang, I didn't destroy her cultivation, but I ruined the appearance she cared about most. I had someone take her to the Xian Yuan Domain's torture chamber and use specially made face-corroding water to slowly erase the skin on her face. This potion wasn't fatal, but it would bring excruciating pain, and it would make the skin unable to recover forever, leaving only ugly scars that even elixirs couldn't cure. Lung Rushuang lay on the torture bed, her screams heart-wrenching, tears mixed with blood soaking the torture bed. Montak Yuan, please don't ruin my face. I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. I'm willing to do anything. Please let me go. Anything. I sat in the chair next to her, watching her in pain, with not the slightest ripple in my heart. When she crushed the jade pendant I gave her, why didn't she think of today? Then you'll be a cauldron for Xian Yuan Domain. Xian Yuan Domain has many golden core stage cultivators who need a breakthrough, and you can help them. Moreover, I will let them use your favorite spiritual lipid paste every day, but it will be mixed with bone corroding powder to ensure that every time you cultivate, you will have an unforgettable experience. Cauldrons were the lowest of the low in the cultivation world, only to be used by cultivators as a tool for cultivation, with no dignity at all. And spiritual lipid paste, mixed with bone corroding powder, would cause cultivators to feel a burning pain in their spiritual power during cultivation, which would be transmitted into the cauldron's body. This was more painful than killing her directly. No, I don't want to be a cauldron. Mo Yuan, kill me. Lung Rushuang cried and screamed, wanting to struggle, but she was tied tightly with iron chains, making it difficult to even move a finger. What she cared about most was her appearance and dignity, and now not only would she be disfigured, but she would also be the most lowly cauldron, enduring the pain of bone corrosion, which was more unbearable than killing her. Kill you? I smiled, the cold laughter making her instantly dare not speak. That's too easy for you. You betrayed me, insulted Xian Yuan Domain, and crushed the token I gave you. Now you should suffer a price more painful than death. From today onwards, you will serve 20 cultivators every day. If you dare to resist, you will use face-corroding water on your arms, until your whole body is covered in scars, and even you can't recognize yourself. Lung Rushuang's crying stopped abruptly. She looked at me, her eyes full of despair and resentment. But she didn't dare to resist, and could only silently endure all this. In the face of absolute strength, she didn't even have the right to die. In the days that followed, I began to reorganize Xian Yuan Domain. After the spirit veins and resources of Qingxian sect were transferred to Xian Yuan Domain, the strength of the domain greatly increased. Many forces in the southern region actively came to join, and even the sects that had previously been on good terms with Qingxian sect sent generous gifts, begging me to forgive them. I found all those who had plotted against the original owner with Ling Shuzi one by one. The betrayed elder was publicly executed by me at the waist. His corpse hung outside the Profound Abyss Hall for all to see. The Azure Profound sect's cultivators were either crippled and thrown into the mines to dig, or crippled and sent to guard the border of the Profound Abyss domain. A few who helped Ling Shuzi poison the original owner with pulse-locking grass were thrown into the 10,000 Serpent Cave to accompany Xiao Su. I heard that when they went in, Xiao Su had only half a life left, and in the end, he was devoured clean by the venomous snakes attracted by their screams. And Xiao Su lived in the 10,000 Serpent Cave for 5 days. In those 5 days, he struggled painfully every day under the gnawing of venomous snakes, from the initial roar to the later moan, until he couldn't even make a sound. I had his white bones fished out, ground into powder, and sprinkled on the spiritual vein fields of the profound abyss domain. This was the only contribution this piece of trash could make to my profound abyss domain. Lung Rushuang became the most lowly furnace cauldron in the profound abyss domain. Every day, cultivators came to her to cultivate. Spirit grease mixed with bone-corroding powder was smeared on her body. And every time her spiritual power circulated, she would convulse in pain, but she didn't even have the right to ask them to stop. Her body became weaker and weaker, and the scars on her face and arms became more and more numerous, making her look like a monster. The cultivators who once admired her now avoided her from afar when they saw her, not even willing to look at her directly. Once, a cultivator accidentally touched her hand and wiped it for a long time in disgust, cursing her as something filthy. One time, I passed by the cultivation room and heard Lung Rushuang's cries coming from inside. She was begging a Golden Core Realm cultivator for mercy, saying that she was in too much pain below and asked if she could rest for a day. But that cultivator ignored her completely, rudely tearing her clothes and cursing. A furnace cauldron dares to make demands? If it weren't for the great emperor keeping you alive, you would have died in the 10,000 serpent cave long ago. Hurry up and be honest, or I'll let you taste even more pain. I didn't go in, just stood outside the door, listening to her cries, watching the long line that had already formed outside. This was the path she chose for herself, and she had to finish it even on her knees. She should have thought of this outcome when she betrayed me in the first place. A year later, the profound abyss domain became the #1 power in the entire cultivation world. I broke through to the late stage of the tribulation transcendence realm, only one step away from ascension. All the forces in the southern domain submitted to the feet of the profound abyss domain, and the great sects in the eastern and western domains also sent people to befriend us, sending precious pills and spiritual materials that filled the treasury of the profound abyss hall. I also reorganized the elder group of the profound abyss domain, promoted several loyal Golden Core Realm cultivators, and completely cleaned up the forces that Ling Shuzi had bribed before. Now, no one in the profound abyss domain dares to have any other thoughts. The Azure Profound sect completely disappeared from the cultivation world. Without spiritual veins and resources, the remaining cultivators either joined other sects, became rogue cultivators, or a few who had plotted against me with Ling Shuzi were found by me, crippled, and thrown into the 10,000 Serpent Cave. I heard that when the last Azure Profound sect cultivator died, he was still shouting Ling Shuzi's name, saying that Ling Shuzi would come to save him. How ridiculous! They didn't know until they died that they were just pawns used by Ling Shuzi to pave the way. One day, a great emperor from the Eastern Domain who was once friendly with the original owner came to me, saying he wanted to plead for me to spare Lung Rushuang. He had seen Lung Rushuang before, thought she was pitiful, and had advised the original owner to cherish her. I didn't agree, just had Lung Rushuang brought over. She was wearing ragged, coarse clothes. The scars on her face were twisted and hideous. The skin on her arms had turned blackish purple because of the perennial application of bone-corroding grease. She walked with a limp, looking even worse than a beggar on the side of the road. Seeing the Eastern Domain Great Emperor, she instinctively wanted to hide, but was held down by the black armored guards, unable to move. She betrayed me in the first place, insulted my profound abyss domain, crushed the jade pendant I carved for her from 1,000 years spiritual jade, and even said she would destroy my spiritual vein mine with Xiaosu. My tone was calm, but carried the majesty of a great emperor. I didn't kill her, I just made her a furnace cauldron, enduring the pain of bone corrosion, which is already leaving her a way out. You think she's pitiful? Then what about me? 300 years of respect and love. In the end, exchanged for the fate of being sacrificed for victory. Who thinks I'm pitiful? The Eastern Domain Great Emperor looked at Lung Rushuang, and then at me, finally sighed and said nothing more. He knew that I, the great emperor of the profound abyss domain, once I held a grudge, would never let it go easily. What's more, Lung Rushuang's actions really weren't worth sympathy. When Lung Rushuang was taken away, she suddenly turned her head to look at me, her lips trembling, wanting to say something, but in the end, she just lowered her head. I know, she regrets it, but what's the use of regret? Some mistakes, once made, can never be undone. Some injuries, once caused, can never be repaired. Later, I heard that Lung Rushuang tried to commit suicide in the cultivation room, cutting her wrist with a broken piece of porcelain. But she didn't even have the right to die. And after a cultivator found her, he immediately saved her with pills and tied up her wrist to prevent her from committing suicide again. From then on, she didn't even have the chance to commit suicide. She could only endure the pain of being a furnace cauldron day after day, living in endless regret and despair. I stood at the top of the profound abyss hall, looking at the distant sea of clouds. The cultivators of the profound abyss domain came and went, all with expressions of awe on their faces. They know that I am the master of the profound abyss domain, the most powerful existence in the cultivation world, and no one dares to disobey my orders, let alone betray me. My mission has come to an end. I bring up the system. System, return. But not only did I not hear the system's return message, but it issued a new task. DDD, a new world has been detected. Please go to the host to rescue our vast number of love-brain male compatriots. I support my forehead, helpless. How are there so many love-brain people in the world?